Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And today we're going to talk about Amazon, but we're not talking about their major outages that they just had. And Amazon is notoriously quiet on these kinds of things, so we'll probably never have the full picture on what happened there. We're going to talk about Amazon's plan to replace 600,000 workers with robots. At least that's according to leaked documents. And so let's dive into this problem. Now, Jess Weatherbed had a really good write-up on this. She's with The Verge, although the New York Times broke this story. And so, as I was mentioning, Amazon is reportedly leaning into automation plans that will enable Amazon to avoid hiring more than 500,000 workers. So, citing interviews and internal strategy documents, the New York Times reported that Amazon is hoping its robots can replace more than 600,000 jobs it would otherwise have to hire in the United States by 2033, despite estimating that it'll sell about twice as many products over that period. In other words, they're just not going to be hiring for the warehouse, et cetera, et cetera. And we have a lot of existing warehouse workers at Amazon. Documents also reportedly show that Amazon's robotics team is working towards automating 75% of the company's entire operations. And so they expect to fire 160,000 US roles that would have otherwise been needed by 2027. In other words, within about a year or so, give or take, they're going to be cutting 160,000 jobs in anticipation of putting the robots to work. So we're talking about a total of 600,000 people that either are hired or could be hired, and they're going to either lose their job or not get a job or try to have to find it somewhere else. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. So if you didn't know, and here's the upside, this would save about 30 cents on every item that Amazon warehouses and delivers to its customers, with automation expected basically to save the company about $12.6 billion from 2025 to 2027. So good news, everybody. You lost your job, but we're saving 30 cents an item. So Amazon has already, for the record, a terrible corporate image. I've talked about this for quite some time, especially when it comes to the handling of their warehouse workers. Some claim abuse. We've heard horror stories from warehouse workers and drivers that, the drivers basically have to go to the bathroom in their trucks and bottles, like this kind of stuff. Workers can't take a break, et cetera, et cetera. Again, you can go Google all of that, but those have been claims that have been going on for quite some time now from the workers. So naturally, given this move, Amazon basically has considered steps to improve its image as a good corporate citizen. Basically, they're doing this in preparation for the anticipated backlash around job losses, again, according to the New York Times. And essentially, they also reported that the company is considering participating in community projects and also avoiding terms like automation and AI, because you see that and immediately you think, okay, well, there goes another job, but that's exactly what they're doing. So they're planning on using more vague terms like advanced technology. Basically, that apparently, according to the documents, was explored, and also using the term cobot, which is essentially a robot that would work alongside a human. But again, you're probably training your replacement in that situation. I don't care what you call it. It's AI and it's automation and it's robotics. So in a statement to The Verge, Amazon spokesperson Kelly Nantel said, the leaked documents reflect the perspective of just one team and do not represent the company's overall hiring strategy, quote, now or moving forward, end quote. And oh, Kelly, we just don't believe you or Amazon anymore at this point. We have years and years and years of info on this to say otherwise. And so thanks again to Jess Weatherbed of The Verge. And Amazon, for the record, is just indicative, of the troubling trend that AI, automation, robots, and all of that it's the trend of replacing humans with all of that. This is a huge problem, and consider the long-term effects. These are things I've talked about before. But we have a still growing population. We have over 8 billion people on the planet. This is more humans alive today than have ever been alive in the entire history of our species, thanks to advancement in healthcare, med tech, all this kind of stuff. We're still growing the population. And if jobs are shrinking or being replaced by robots and automation, that creative destruction simply does not have enough time for the humans to figure out something else to do, and everybody needs a purpose. So if you're thinking about creative destruction, think about this, and this is the example I absolutely love, is that when England, or rather London, England, basically was converting from gas lamps to electricity, they had pretty much like straight up riots from like the gas lamp guild or union, because these were the people that went around and turned on and turned off the gas lamps, et cetera, et cetera. But with electricity, you basically flip a switch once everything is wired. But that took years and years and years to do, which meant the gas lamp people basically saw it coming. They were able to essentially get another job or be retrained somewhere, et cetera, et cetera. But when we have a turnaround of months to just a few years at best, you can't basically retrain an entire population. And that doesn't even include the next generation. So think about the education and socialization aspects of, the 16-year-olds that are going to be entering the workforce. If I'm driving, through the McDonald's drive-through and an AI is taking my order and a robot is making and delivering my Big Mac, then where's the job for the 16-year-old? And it's not about the crappy paycheck. Lord knows you're not making much, working McDonald's. But the point is that it's there to basically socialize the younger generation. You have to deal with possibly a horrible boss or a great boss, or horrible coworkers, or horrible customers that are drunk at 2 a.m. that just want a Big Mac. This is how we socialize and educate the next generation of workforce. And you move on from McDonald's, who is a great employer for first-time employees, and then you basically grow a career. You gain that experience. Also, like I mentioned, people need a purpose. I think this is something that we're not going to be able to get around. And if the AI is basically taking all of our jobs and we can't afford to live, then we can't afford to basically like paint or do music or whatever our passions are that we want to pursue. We still have to make a living and then pursue them on the weekend or whatever. Not everybody is a billionaire, et cetera, et cetera. But if we can't get a job, we can't afford to pursue that. Not to mention the AI is now creating videos and music and art and all this kind of stuff, which I think is a detriment to the overall creative community around the entire globe. And so it really comes down to, what do we do? If this is inevitable, if we're not going to stop this, put regulations or guardrails or ethics around this kind of stuff, in the United States doesn't seem like it's going to anytime soon. Some aspects of the world, like the EU, are trying to put ethics around, let's say, AI development, but the robots are coming for everybody, no matter where you are. This becomes a big issue. So why aren't we talking about what we're going to do with humanity? Great, the robots can run the Amazon warehouse, but what about the 160,000 workers and the potential 440,000 workers that didn't get hired? And so by virtue of that, what is it? Universal basic income? Because not everybody's going to be able to have a job. Is it something else? Like, why aren't we even having this conversation given everything that we're going through here? We're not having this. We're not talking about this. This is a huge, huge problem, and it's on the horizon. And essentially, if you look at the history of the world, when you have a population that goes from, let's say, having prosperity or at least a stable existence economically to absolute destitution because they've been completely replaced, outsourced, bombed, whatever it is in history, that's how revolutions start. And so the last thing we need is everybody melting down and rioting and all of these different kinds of things. We need to figure this out and we need to come together. This isn't a partisan thing. We can agree or disagree on things like universal basic income. I don't even know if it's the right thing, but we're not having the conversation. And we're about to have a lot of people that are going to be in desperate need, which means that's going to be an increase in crime. It's going to be an increase in violence. We're not talking about this. We need to. So I'll leave it at that. This isn't good. Amazon is doing the wrong thing here. I understand why they're doing it, but it's just going to continue to be a problem. And please like, share, follow me here for as long as you can afford it, at Nick A. ESP, or please feel free to subscribe to me, at YouTube as well, Twitter, Facebook, all that fun stuff, Blue Sky. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, 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 I'm going to say private, informed, and secure. Take care.